Welcome back to another episode of the Girl Boss Brand Podcast. I'm your host, Satara Brown, and every week I'm taking you behind the scenes of what it really takes to bet on yourself. Welcome back to another episode of the Girl Boss Brand Podcast. We are almost at Podcast 20. We are celebrating 1 year in business of the Girl Boss brand, of SB Consulting, of being an entrepreneur full-time. And we are at the lovely Creative Suite here in Cornwall, New York. Shout out to Berto and Burgos brand for literally making this studio just for me. But yeah, so another week, another podcast episode. I am feeling so good. And this week we are going to talk about why it is essential to show up online, on the internet, on social media when being a business owner, but also how to maintain your privacy. And it's like, what does that even mean, right? Like, how am I going to show up, but also live this private life that I desire? And what's very interesting, if you listen to the last episode, I spoke a lot about how I was Satara from Facebook, how I literally got my marketing degree from social media informally before I went and got my master's in marketing, because I showed up online all of the time consistently when I was starting my nonprofit, and that opened so many doors to me. I became the director of marketing for a law firm, and now here I am with my own marketing consulting agency. And it's all because I simply made sure that I was letting people know what I was doing in my nonprofit, where I would be, the services that I was offering, and how they could get involved. And it's interesting because I became the girl from Facebook, and people would come up to me and they would be like, hey, you're that girl from Facebook. And I'm just like, I had to learn that, like, I can no longer have the RBF, right? I have to be smiling. I have to be inviting. If I am representing more than just myself, I'm representing my nonprofit, I'm representing my brand. So it was important how I carried myself in my day to day. And people, they felt like they knew me from the internet. And it's so interesting because I could post that I'm doing a workshop, a back to school event, a summer camp. I just got a new degree. But the things that are closest to me, they barely make the internet, right? So like when my mom passed away, I have been on display for the last decade. So when my mom passed away, she died the day before Mother's Day. And I posted on Facebook and on Instagram, and in the caption, everyone just thought it was like a picture of me and my mom for Mother's Day. But the caption said, what a life to take, what a bond to break. I'll be missing you. And people were like, wait, what? And I feel like that is a great example of how you can maintain your privacy but still show up online. Nobody knew that I was fighting this battle with my mom of cancer for 10 long months. No one knew that I didn't have a job. Nobody knew that my mom was dying before my eyes. I was still showing up on social media and on the internet because I already built a brand, right? And it's important to find that balance between oversharing, posting too much, not posting enough, showing your private life, but mixing it with business. People can go and tell you that you need to go have a separate page for your business. You need to have your own personal page where you post maybe like mommy things and things of that sort. I make sure that I post a little bit of everything. And now that I have a full team, I'm branching off a little bit. Like, we're utilizing my podcast Instagram page a little bit more than just posting it on my regular social media. But those personal parts of me are still a part of my life. So you might see me posting my nephews in my stories, or for their birthday or something of that sort if we do something really fun. But like I said before, I try to keep things that are near and dear and personal in my life to myself, while maintaining that boundary of showing up online. And now that I am in the space where I am in the health and wellness space, I have the Balance Suite, which is my wellness component of my life and my business. I have chosen to be a little bit more vocal about personal things to me, such as being severely anemic, such as having fibroids and what that does to my body, and how I'm basically out of commission 3 weeks out of 4 weeks every single month. But that's because of the platform that I feel allows for that. I didn't feel like that was necessary to share when I was in the space of just nonprofit youth work, summer camps, after school programs. I didn't think that it was appropriate to share at that time. Now that myself, I'm a brand as well too. So there's the Girl Boss brand, there's the Balance Suite, there's SB Consulting Firm, and all of the different things. But me as a person, I'm a walking brand as well too, right? So the way that I show up on the internet matters, right? So I'm into lifestyle and wellness and living the soft life. And so now I'm sharing a little bit more, and I'm also healing. So now that, I broke the news that my mom passed away, which was 2 years ago, it feels like yesterday. I'm in this stage, and so many people, they reach out to me and they're like, thank you for showing this version of yourself. I am so used to showing up as the strong Black woman in her blue suit or black suit and heels, with my laptop, getting ready to go to a meeting. And now I am showing up as the softest, broken, healing version of myself, the person who is growing and going at the same time. Sometimes I'm going, sometimes I'm growing, sometimes I'm doing both. Some days I'm in bed all day long. Some days I'm up at 5 a.m. and I'm at the gym. But I'm choosing to share this piece of my life. So, when you're thinking about how you want to show up, it needs to be aligned with your brand, whether it's your personal brand, whether it's your business brand, and you need to make sure that you aren't mixing the two. For instance, if you are a mom, but you have a business where you do basketball clinics, unless you're like showing videos of you taking your child to the basketball clinics, most people, they probably don't want to see all of the behind the scene mommy things that you're doing at home. They probably want to see on your business page or how your business is represented online, how they can connect to your business clinics. So, you have to know who your target audience is, and you also have to know that everything isn't for everyone, right? So I might post content and it might not be for you, but it might be for your best friend. And that's absolutely okay. So when you are showing up online and you're showing up for yourself, for your business, if you want to get brand deals, whatever the case is, you need to know who your target audience is, because everyone is not going to like you. You're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And so again, that just goes back to like you deciding what side of you want to show the internet. You can go all in and you can show everything, right? But you are in control of what people see, and people are going to create a narrative about you anyways. So you have that control again to show up however you want to be perceived. And I always say, like, the internet is not a real thing. Social media is not real, which it is, but it's not, right? Two things can be true at the same time, right? But it is, but people only can judge based off of what they see and what is presented online. Like, it's so funny. When people meet me, I'm just like, yeah, Google me. Like, you'll see everything you need to know. Just Google me. And like, you can literally Google me, and me being an entrepreneur, me having a podcast, me having a nonprofit, me having a consulting business, it all comes up. But that's what I put out there, right? And that's how I want to show up. I think that sometimes when we're going through battles in our own personal lives, if we're having financial issues, if we're having troubles with relationships, we like to put that information on the internet. But when you are a brand or when you have a brand, you need to be careful about what you are reposting on your page, what you are sharing on your page, what you are liking, because someone can look at your page and they can look at all of your reshares. And if your reshares is not on brand, they might not want to do business with you. They might not want to buy from you. If you are acting like you are a girl's girl and that's how you appear on the internet, but then all of your reshares and reposts are mean girl things, you're sending mixed messages. So you have to remember that you're always in control of how you show up online, and it matters. I say nowadays, your Instagram page, your Facebook, definitely your LinkedIn is your new resume, right? People, they hop right on the internet and they're judging you before you even open your mouth, right? So the way you are perceived online is like, it can make or break your business. I just went to a networking event and my team's like, okay, make sure you have your virtual business cards and blah, blah, blah. And people are like, oh, what's your Instagram? I'm talking about like people that are like 65 years old. They're like, what's your Instagram? And what they see on that grid, that is their first impression of you. That is your resume. It doesn't care. They don't care if you went to college. They don't care if you went to Harvard. They don't care if you have 19 master's degrees. They want to see how you present yourself. So if you're having a hot girl summer, if you're singing Spin That and doing all of that, stuff and carrying on the internet, it's not a good representation of your business. And for me, I have always, even through all of my storms and craziness in life, and when I used to hang out and drink and smoke hookah and do all of these things, I always tried to maintain a certain persona online. And it wasn't about being fake, but it was just about what I wanted to share with the internet, right? And maybe drinking and smoking hookah, now that I think about it, maybe those weren't the proudest things that I've done. So maybe that's why I didn't want to have them on display, now that I'm thinking back at that. But, you know, people, they judge you so quickly based off of what you see. And when I was at the networking event, I overheard a conversation where a lady was saying, like, she was talking about likes and, you know, she posted a picture natural with no makeup and her hair wasn't done and she got all these likes and people really were like engaging with her content and it made her feel good. And I think the internet is twofold. I don't think you need to present yourself in a way that is false or creates like a false reality, but I think that you need to make sure that you maintain that control of how you show up, just like how first impressions, right? Or the first day of school. You want to have your best outfit on. You want to look good. And it's not always for other people. It's for yourself, your best moments. And that's just how I feel about social media, because you never know who's going to come across your content. You never know who's going to come across your page, and you never know what opportunities are out there. So I just think that maintaining a certain standard, and I don't have kids yet, but I always say that, like, if I had kids or anything that I post online, I want my children to be proud of, right? So like, I don't want to be turned up on the internet, shaking my butt or, you know, engaging in certain activities, because it's not something that I want young girls to look up to. It's not something that I would want my kids to look up to. So yeah, that's just my take on the internet. And if you listen to the previous episode, you would have known that I got a job as a director of marketing at a law firm because of the way that I showed up on Facebook for my nonprofit. And so it really does open doors, and it's not about like being something that you're not, or whatever the case is, even in terms of yoga in the park. So I did yoga in the park last year. Every single Sunday I did yoga in the park the whole entire summer. So it was 8 weeks. I partnered with one of the local councilmen, and we offered this free yoga in the park. This year we got invited to do yoga in the park. That's a part of a much larger event that hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people attend. And I don't have to come out of pocket for anything. But that's because how I showed up online and how I presented the work that I was doing with Yoga in the Park the previous year. And it was a no-brainer for the person to reach out to me. And I love how God works. And it's so funny because I toyed with the idea of whether or not I wanted to commit to doing Yoga in the Park and the actual time commitment and how I wanted to rest and I wanted to be in my soft girl era, right? And I wanted to pour into myself. And this opportunity came about, and the frequency was less of what we did last year, and it just required less of a lift for me, and it just felt so aligned. And again, that's just an opportunity that came up online. Even in terms of Threads, I love Threads. I always talk about Threads. I have gotten so many clients from Threads because of what I choose to post, right? And I always say tweet, although it's not Twitter, but what I choose to tweet, I keep my posts aligned with my lifestyle. So it's lifestyle stuff, wellness things, business things, being an entrepreneur, healing, what life looks like while you're healing and building at the same time. And I have been able to connect with so many different business owners across so many different fields. I've been able to retain clients from there. I've been able to work on one-off deals, volunteer at amazing events. And it's because of how I showed up on the internet. So again, you don't have to pretend to be something that you're not. You can always be authentic. And my girl Capri, I love that she came on my panel about a year ago, and she spoke about no longer having to perform. And she talked about how when she was working in corporate, everything was just like performative. And it's like, you're not being fake, but you're not being your authentic self. And I love the fact that she said that because it really grounded me in who I am as a person and how I want to appear to be. I don't want to be in the black suits, the dark blue suits and the heels with my laptop with me all the time, because that's what success is supposed to look like, right? I want to show up how I want to show up. And look, today it's a hat, a blazer, a t-shirt. And I choose to be authentic when I show up online, offline, and I no longer have to perform. So it's great that you can show those versions of yourself on social media without being fake, without having to be something you're not, or, even having to pretend. And I'm grateful for my girls like Capri who are growing and going, who have already reached great heights, but they continue to grow. And I have chills as I'm saying this because Capri is someone that I've known for a very long time, and she has done incredible things. I actually remember, shout out to Class with Capri. She created my very, very first banner for me for my nonprofit, which is over 10 years ago now. And just to see how much she has grown in her own space, and as an entrepreneur, and things that she's done in the corporate space, and just incredible things. I just feel so blessed to be aligned with amazing women such as herself, amazing women such as Shanice Brown. She has multiple businesses, but like just to see their hearts, right? And how they show up for others, and how they just show up in spaces and dominate without even trying to dominate. They just have that aurora. I remember at my event, I sat the two of them together because I was like, yeah, two of a kind. But that just goes back to how you show up, right? How you show up on the internet, how you show up in your daily life, how you show up in your business, and just the side of you that you want to show people. It's okay to protect things that are close to your heart. It's okay to keep things private to you, to yourself. Like when my mom had cancer and she was literally almost skins and bones, it wasn't something I wanted to share with the internet. I didn't need a pity party. I didn't need anyone's comments. It was a time I needed to share and spend with my mom. And when I was ready to, tell the internet that my mom passed away, that's what I chose to do. But I've learned through my journey and, being friends with women like Capri and Shanice that you can be authentic. You can still be yourself, and there's no need to be performative on the internet. And at the same time, you can still have a private life. So I hope that you took a little something from this episode and you rethink how you show up online, how you show up in different spaces, how you just show up for yourself on a daily basis. How are you showing up for yourself when you wake up in the morning? Are you grateful or are you mad that you have to go to work? It's a blessing to even open our eyes. So I hope that you keep that with you as you go through life and start to reframe your mind and your the way that you're thinking and the way that you're just showing up in general. And I'll see you next week on another episode.